Hey everyone! Today we're exploring another chilling and disturbing case. If you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stay engaged. It really means a lot. I truly appreciate it. Now, take a deep breath and let's dive in. Breaking tonight, Edmund Noah, a former corrections officer and father of three, has been arrested for the suspected murder of his wife, Cynthia Noah, in what investigators are calling one of the most calculated family betrayal cases in Georgia's history. Cynthia Noah was 42 years old, a mother, a licensed nurse, and by all accounts, a woman quietly drowning in her own home. She was rarely seen without long sleeves. She smiled at school drop-offs, paid bills on time, but she was always alone. Her friends said she'd grown distant over the years, that her texts had become robotic, like someone was watching. Edmund Noah wore two faces. At work, he was a seasoned corrections officer, controlled, respected. At home, he was king. He monitored everything, installed cameras, tracked the kids' phones, logged Cynthia's daily movements, all under the excuse of protection. But behind that excuse was obsession. On the morning of August 9th, 2023, Edmund called 911. His voice was calm, cold. He claimed his wife had fallen down the stairs, said she wasn't breathing. But when paramedics arrived, they found Cynthia with bruises on her wrists, a split lip, and what looked like defensive wounds. She was declared dead on arrival. At first, authorities believed it might have been a domestic violence case gone too far. But then they found two things that changed everything: a hidden camera in the basement, and a freshly signed life insurance policy for $750,000, listing Edmund as the sole beneficiary. The policy had been activated just 92 days before Cynthia's death. It wasn't just the money. Detectives found a second phone in Edmund's car, used only to message one person, a woman named Chloe Reeves. Chloe thought Edmund was divorced. She thought he had full custody of his kids. She thought they were starting a new life together. She didn't know Cynthia was still alive. Until she wasn't. Edmund wanted out, but not the hard way. Divorce meant legal trouble, financial loss, public shame, and with Chloe, he had a chance at starting fresh. So he planned it. The insurance policy, the accidental fall, the alibi. What he didn't plan was Marcus, their 16-year-old son, who had seen everything. Marcus had been recording audio diaries for months. Therapy he never got. Secrets he couldn't say out loud. And in one of those recordings, he caught everything. The shouting, the threats, the chilling silence after. He never meant to be a witness. But now, he was the only one who could expose his father. But when investigators tried to contact Marcus for questioning, he was nowhere to be found. Because Edmund's story doesn't end with one murder. It might have just begun with one. Marcus Noah disappeared the night his father was taken into custody. No calls, no texts, no signs of struggle. Just gone. The recording that exposed Edmund's abuse, his own son's accidental confession, had been turned over by a school counselor 2 days earlier. But when detectives went to follow up, Marcus was no longer at the group home he'd been placed in after his mother's death. His bed was cold, his bag was gone, and taped to the window was a note. "He's not done yet. Please believe me." At first, authorities thought Marcus was just traumatized, a scared teen trying to escape the chaos. But that note, 6 words scribbled in panic, kept detectives up at night. "He's not done yet." They weren't sure what it meant, but 48 hours later they would. While combing through Edmund's files, police uncovered a disturbing detail. Cynthia wasn't the only one Edmund had insured. There were 3 more policies, each taken out within the same 6-month window. All digital signatures, all forged, all on his own children, each valued at $250,000. But what's worse, one of them, Lily's, had a payout clause for accidental carbon monoxide exposure. And just 1 week before Cynthia's death, a repairman had been called to the home to inspect a faulty basement heater. The gas line had been tampered with. Investigators now believe Edmund was planning something far more sinister. He didn't just want Cynthia gone. He wanted a clean slate. New woman. No kids. No strings. But the night before Cynthia's death, the children had slept at their aunt's house. That accident never happened, and Edmund never mentioned it again. 10 days after Marcus vanished, a gas station attendant in Tennessee reported something odd. A teenage boy, dirty, tired, shaking, asked if he could charge his phone and warm up. He used the name Michael. He paid in cash. But before leaving, he accidentally dropped a school ID card. It said, Marcus Noah. Alongside the ID was a tiny flash drive. Inside was a voice recording. Marcus, his voice trembling. Urgent. If you're hearing this, it means he's trying to finish what he started. My dad's not working alone. Someone's helping him. Someone with access. Don't trust anyone in uniform. Edmund Noah was already behind bars. But Marcus was convinced someone else was out there, someone still trying to silence him. And 3 days after that recording was received, Edmund's prison guard was found dead in the staff restroom. Strangled. No witnesses. No suspects. Whatever Edmund started may not be over. August 23rd, 2023. At 3:17 a.m., a correctional officer at Hill Ridge State Prison is found dead, face down in the staff restroom. Manual strangulation. No forced entry. No signs of struggle. The guard's name? David Heron, shift supervisor. Clean record. And most importantly, Edmund Noah's former partner. The two had worked side by side for over a decade. Close friends. Same routines. Same code. But when detectives reviewed security footage of the wing that night, 14 minutes were missing. The system had been manually overridden, and only 2 people knew how to do that. One of them was dead. The other was Edmund Noah. Investigators obtained a warrant for Heron's phone and found something strange. Unsent text messages. Typed, but never delivered. He's pushing for something. I told him no. If anything happens to me, check the USB in my locker. That USB drive was found 12 hours later. Inside, a series of documents labeled P-Case. Phase 2. They were blueprints, lists, schedules, a chilling spreadsheet of people, dates, insurance values, targets. At first, authorities didn't understand the spreadsheet, but then they realized every name had a policy number beside it. One of the names was Cynthia Noah. Another was Chloe Reeves, the woman Edmund claimed to love, the woman he was ready to start a new life with. She wasn't just his affair, she was his next payday. Chloe was brought in for questioning. She denied everything until she was shown the policy document. She broke, told them Edmund promised her freedom, money, a new life in Mexico. She said she thought Cynthia died of natural causes, that Edmund told her it was all legal, that someone else helped forge the documents. When asked who, she hesitated, then whispered one name, Officer Heron. Forensic analysts traced Edmund's financial records and found something buried under layers of shell accounts. A joint offshore account in the Cayman Islands. 2 names on the account, Edmund Noah and David Heron. Over $340,000 have been wired there in the last 18 months, all from untraceable insurance claim proceeds. By now, detectives were certain Edmund wasn't acting alone. Heron helped with logistics. Chloe helped with access. But there was something else, a third name, on every document. Encrypted, hidden behind a string of numbers, but one digital signature kept repeating. And when decoded, it matched an IP address. The IP belonged to someone unexpected, a juvenile detention officer at Marcus's former group home, the same home Marcus fled from right before he vanished. Edmund Noah may be behind bars. Heron may be dead. But Marcus's warning that someone in uniform was still helping just became terrifyingly real, because this wasn't just a family tragedy. It was a network. And as of tonight, that juvenile officer is missing. Edmund Noah didn't build this plan alone. The question now is, how far does it go and who's next? When Edmund Noah was arrested, most people thought the nightmare was over. One man, one twisted plan, one broken family. But then came the dead guard, the coded spreadsheets, the forged insurance policies, and one name buried in the files that changed everything. That name? Andre Pike, a quiet, forgettable face in the state's juvenile justice system. A group home officer, always clocked in, always invisible, until he vanished. Andre Pike worked at 3 different juvenile facilities over 10 years. No complaints, no raises, no personal footprint. But his digital footprint told a different story. Encrypted emails, Bitcoin wallet transactions, proxy servers, and dozens of insurance quotes saved under fake names, mostly teens with no family. He wasn't just hiding, he was recruiting. When investigators raided Pike's apartment, they found it nearly empty, except for a laptop bolted to the floor and a locked fireproof safe. Inside that safe, dozens of flash drives and one manila folder labeled Phase 3 Noah. Inside the folder were photos of Marcus, Chloe Reeves, and 3 other names that had never come up before. All were people who had recently filed life insurance claims, where the beneficiaries were either untraceable or dead. The fraud wasn't just personal, it was systematic. One of the flash drives contained a database of correctional officers, juvenile home workers, and insurance agents, complete with passwords, schedules, and private notes. The data was terrifying. Names of victims, payout amounts, and a strange category called disposables. Cynthia Noah's name was on that list. So was Marcus. Just as the investigation hit a wall, a burner phone was mailed to one of the lead detectives. Inside the box, the phone, a charger, and a single note: "Don't call, just wait." 12 hours later, it rang. Once. Detectives answered and heard Marcus's voice. "I have proof. I can name 3 more people, but I can't come back yet. Someone on the task force is part of this. You need to stop trusting badges." The next day, Chloe Reeves was placed in protective custody after receiving a threatening letter in her prison meal tray. And 3 days later, another name tied to the network, an insurance broker from Atlanta, was found dead in a staged car accident. That same broker had underwritten 5 of the suspicious policies Pike had saved. Whoever was behind this network was still watching, still tying up loose ends. Edmund Noah may have lit the match, but this fire has been burning underground for years. Marcus has gone dark again. Pike is still missing. The bodies are stacking up. And as of tonight, one more thing has surfaced. A prison log showing that the day before Cynthia Noah died, Andre Pike visited Edmund in prison under a fake name. And he brought something with him, a USB drive. Because the truth about Edmund Noah was never locked inside his house. It was buried inside a system that protected him. 2 days before Cynthia Noah was killed, a man using the name William Dorsey signed into Hillridge State Prison as a civilian visitor. He was logged as a paralegal. The visit lasted 18 minutes. That name didn't raise any alarms until months later, when investigators cross-referenced it with DMV records. William Dorsey didn't exist, but the man who used that ID did. It was Andre Pike. And surveillance footage showed exactly what he brought with him: a USB drive hidden inside a legal document folder. That USB drive was recovered during a full-body search of Edmund Noah after Pike disappeared. At first, the prison warden insisted the drive was blank, but federal cybercrime analysts recovered 63 encrypted files. What they found changed everything. Among the files was a grainy, timestamped video, captured 2 years before Cynthia's death. In it, Edmund is seated across from a man in a suit. The man's face is blurred, but his voice is clear. "We'll process the policy, but this can't lead back to you. If she dies, you wait 90 days, not a day less." The file was labeled Cynthia Prep Call. Edmund had recorded his own murder planning meetings. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Edmund broke his silence. He agreed to speak to investigators, but only off the record. Over 2 hours, he unraveled the entire operation. He called it the ladder, a system where abused authority figures, guards, officers, agents, could climb out of their low-paying lives by turning vulnerable people into payout plans. They created the accidents, filed the claims, split the payouts. Cynthia was never supposed to be first. She was supposed to be last. In exchange for protection in federal custody, Edmund handed over a document he called the Quiet Ledger. It named 11 more victims, all presumed dead from suicides, overdoses, or freak accidents, all tied to foster homes, prisons, or low-income care facilities. Every single one had a policy tied to a fake beneficiary. And every fake beneficiary was linked to a single email address, andre.pike@protonmail.com. But just when authorities believed they had everything, something strange happened. A photo surfaced on a dark web forum, posted under a burner account. It showed Marcus, alive, holding a newspaper from 2 days ago. His eyes looked swollen, his hands were bruised, and written in Sharpie across his shirt, "Don't believe my father's confession." Authorities raced to trace the IP, but the post was already gone. The message was clear. Someone has Marcus, and if Edmund's confession is part plan, who is really pulling the strings? Because if Edmund Noah confessed too easily, it might mean the real mastermind hasn't even been named yet. After 5 months of silence, Edmund Noah confessed to everything: insurance fraud, murder, conspiracy. He gave names, records, timelines. But something about his story didn't sit right. Why now? Why all at once? Why would a man who controlled everything suddenly give it all up unless he was told to? 3 days after the photo of Marcus surfaced online, investigators received an anonymous call. "You're watching the wrong man. He didn't start this. He was recruited. Look up Cassandra Ward." They traced the number. It pinged off a private satellite phone near the Florida Keys. By the time authorities arrived, it was gone. Cassandra Ward was the regional director of juvenile rehabilitation for over 11 years. She supervised dozens of facilities, including the one where Andre Pike and Marcus first crossed paths. On paper, she was untouchable. No red flags, no criminal history. But behind closed doors, she was signing off on special insurance authorizations using state funds. And those funds were traced to private insurance firms linked to multiple dead teens. It started with a loophole, a program designed to financially protect Ward's estate. Kids with no next of kin. Policies were filed in their names, meant to cover burial costs, counseling, support. But someone figured out how to turn those policies into profit. They kept the kids in broken homes, set them up for failure, then filed claims when they overdosed, when they ran, when they died. And the money? It never made it back to the system. Edmund didn't build this. He was just the one with the stomach to carry it out. He used control. Pike used code. And Cassandra? She used the system. She created the ladder Edmund talked about, recruited men like him, protected them, paid them, and when they got sloppy, she burned them. David Heron, gone. The insurance broker, gone. Pike, missing. And Edmund confessed. But even in federal custody, Edmund refused to name her. "If I name her, my son dies." It was Marcus's voice, broadcasted through a hidden audio file attached to an encrypted message, that finally gave the FBI a location. An abandoned boys' home outside Tallahassee. Decommissioned. Off the books. Inside, chains, cameras, 3 laptops, and Marcus, barely alive, handcuffed to a bed frame. He was dehydrated, beaten, and terrified, but he was alive. And the first thing he said? "It wasn't my dad. Not really." 3 days later, Cassandra Ward's body was found floating in a retention pond outside her gated home. Gunshot to the head. No note, no fingerprints. But next to her body was a single-page document, the original draft of the Ladder Network. Handwritten, dated 2011, signed only with 3 initials, CW. And in the top corner, one last note, scribbled in red ink. ended before it grows again. Edmund Noah is serving 5 consecutive life sentences. Chloe Reeves is under witness protection. Andre Pike was never found. And Marcus, he's alive, in therapy, trying to rebuild the pieces of a childhood destroyed by power, manipulation, and money. The latter may be broken, but its architects are still out there. What are your thoughts on this case? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to stay updated with more stories, where each case isn't just about crime, but also offers a lesson for life.